Brandon Aiyuk, is he just trying to stir up problems in these days now? In the offseason, idle hands do the devil's work, as they say. Brandon Aiyuk still waiting for that contract, hanging out with his buddy Jayden Daniels of the Commanders, posting their Commanders team practice film. Big no-no. Brandon Aiyuk in trouble now. Is his buddy in hot water? All that and more coming up on today's Locked On 49ers.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker at BD Peacock at Crocky209. Thanks, everybody, for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We love our everydayers. We love it when you subscribe. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Today's episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more as playoffs wind down and the sports stop sporting like we want them to. This summer, FanDuel is hooking all customers up with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com. Just FanDuel.com. That's it. No / locked on. Just FanDuel.com to get started. All right, Croc, if you haven't seen it, for the folks out there, if they have not seen it, not much to look at, but Brandon Aiyuk on TikTok, he's been going to social media this offseason, and he had a feeling that Croc and I were going to do an episode and thought, here you go, guys. Here's a little bit more content for your podcast to start the week. And by the way, thanks, everybody, for jumping in live. I see some folks already hitting it with us. Let us know what you think of everything going on with the 49ers, and feel free to drop some questions in the YouTube comments as we're live here on this Sunday evening, recording this podcast for the Monday morning audio listeners. And Brandon Aiyuk, Croc, posts his buddies. He doesn't. It's not so much about him giving away secrets on social media of the tape that he posted, but the fact that there's a player in the NFL on an opposing team watching your practice tape is where this starts to get real iffy. So what it was, a social media post. I believe it was on TikTok. Josh Taylor at Josh Taylor Football is where I saw the screen grab of it. I don't even know if it's still up there. I'm sure someone told Aiyuk to pull that down immediately. So Brandon Aiyuk posts a practice clip of Jayden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. And in the clip I'm looking at right now, Jayden Daniels in shotgun. It's got split backs, and it looks like Austin Eckler and maybe Brian Robinson in the backfield. Could be interesting dual tailback offense happening. Some clues there. So teams are going to like just even that still screen grab of that video and the formation they're running in practice there. So Croc, as a former player, I want to hear what you think about, friends sharing practice film, who might be seeing what. Guys are tight. That there's practice film being watched, and some guys just want pointers and hey, how did I do this? How should I run this route? Or whatever. But this is a quarterback and a wide receiver. I know for sure though, Croc, that Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury and Adam Peters and the Washington Commanders are probably more upset than the 49ers brass is about this, because it is a big no-no to share practice tape. Like, that is something that you are not supposed to be doing, even with your best buddies, Croc. So I'm thinking there could be potential fines here. And you have to wonder what the motivation is for Brandon Aiyuk to post something like this.
I think you have to wonder what the motivation is for Jayden Daniels to expose this film to Brandon Aiyuk. The 49ers are the team that everybody's chasing. And, whatever they're doing, you're giving this guy access to things that you guys are doing behind closed doors. And I think for a rookie quarterback, definitely a big mistake, but that is not something that you want to start off his tenure at the quarterback position really having an issue with. So not ideal for Jayden Daniels, but it continues to kind of be this weird scenario and dynamic between the 49ers and Brandon Aiyuk. Why is Aiyuk posting this? I did see something else where it looked like maybe Aiyuk is hanging out with Jayden Daniels. You see some of the trophies in the background that Jayden Daniels earned, obviously a Heisman Trophy award and a couple other trophies that he received from playing his last season, stellar campaign for him at LSU. But we're not trying to, get this contract knocked out. And I think now it's starting to hit a kind of this stage and dynamic that makes it a little bit more a lot different than what we saw with Debo Samuel. He was tripping a little bit. He was a little disgruntled, removed some stuff off of social media, but that was it. Aiyuk, however you feel, you got to get your money, man, whatever. But it's almost like he's going on this press run to show how upset he is. We talked about last week's with him going on the pivot. He called the pivot. They said it multiple times on there, like, you called it, like, what did you want to get off of your chest, right? So clearly he's trying to get this message out to the 49ers, whether it's through the pivot, whether it's through posting a still clip of Washington Commanders film. What exactly that is, and is that going to help him get money? I mean, I guess that remains to be seen, but it's definitely a player that I thought was frustrated, but it is starting to trend more towards being a little disgruntled at this point in the offseason. Or maybe he's just bored in the offseason like the rest of us.
To me, him posting there's a lot of questions I have. One is it to the point where Brandon Aiyuk's like, hey man, it'd be cool to play with you. Teach me your offense. You know what I mean? Like,
but he can't do nothing about it. Even if that is the case, what can you can't do anything about it. They have you on your 5th year option. They'll probably tag you if they're there past this 5th year. Like, you can't force anything. The 49ers have you right now by the cojones, right? Like, they're holding you, and whatever they feel like doing, they'll do. This is not, I don't think it's going to change. Like, oh, he really wants to go to Commanders. We don't care. Because even if we do decide, let's say hypothetically speaking, tomorrow the 49ers are like, we want to trade Brandon Aiyuk. They're going to trade him to the best, like whatever they're getting back that's best for them. Like, we don't care that Aiyuk potentially wants to go play with his former college quarterback. So, yeah, we're just going to ship you to Washington. Hell nah. Hey, if they offer the best, then yeah. But, like, you doing all this, that's not going to make us trade you any faster, especially to the Washington Commanders.
I totally agree. And so then it becomes theater. And then it becomes, okay, maybe, and it becomes an IQ test in some ways, because it's like, all right, Brandon, like, you're having fun with it maybe, and maybe you do want to be traded to the Washington Commanders, but now you're getting your buddy in trouble, because you have to know this is a big no-no. So now you're actually making things harder on yourself, harder on your friend by posting this, potentially fines involved. Like, if let's say Brandon Aiyuk ends up signing in free agency in 2 years, or maybe even next offseason, who knows, with the Washington Commanders, then the Niners are going to for sure be like, okay, what about tampering? So there's like a lot of things that could go into this, from kind of an innocuous post, and maybe he didn't think it through with what actually could happen. And I would imagine potentially Jayden Daniels getting in more trouble than Brandon Aiyuk because of this, because that's a big no-no, and you cannot be sharing your team's film with other players. And so clearly, at least Brandon Aiyuk had a glimpse over the shoulder of Jayden Daniels, and who knows, maybe a lot more peeps at the Washington Commanders practice tape. And I'm sure it happens around the league, but putting it out there on social, just questionable motives there. And you gotta wonder what Brandon Aiyuk's thinking doing that.
I know these guys, this new era, this new generation, they are a little different. They do things a little differently. But when me growing up, it was more so the women, the girls that react emotionally to things. Like, with men, it's kind of like, it is what it is. We'll go about it however we got to go about grown man business, right? But like with women, it's subliminal things. It's doing this to get back at their ex, right? Like all these little things to try to get under people's skin. And I'm not calling Brandon Aiyuk a woman, all right, like at all. I ain't saying that. But I would say that the way that he is going, this is very woman-esque. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is not typically how men handle business, and just the little subliminals and the things here and there, and really more so reacting more emotionally. I think that's why it's something that we haven't quite seen to this extent. But again, some of these kids, like it could just be a different day and age. DJ Dunham says, I wonder what his agent is thinking now. Maybe his agent is telling him to do these things. I would doubt it. I would assume that his agent is like, hang tight. But there's something where he hang tight, post practice film. Like he just can't help it damn near right now.
Yeah, he can't help himself. I think is a big part of it. So a little more on this. We'll move on. And really sad news around the NFL. A rookie hadn't had a chance to even play in an NFL game yet. Passes away from a car accident over the weekend. And we will get into the chat about the San Francisco 49ers and NFL as well to finish up this episode of Locked On 49ers next. Today's episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by FanDuel. And I love sports. Croc loves sports. We all love sports. That's why we're here. We love them so much, we never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down and we get fewer games, the sports aren't quite sporting as much as we might want them to. But FanDuel lets you keep going whenever you want, all summer long. All you got to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime you're in the mood. This summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers, not just new customers either, all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long at FanDuel. All you got to do is head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most of your summer. Again, that is FanDuel.com. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. You muted Croc.
Yeah, but before we get started, I don't want to. I would hate to like question him, his manhood. Like I don't want to do that. I'm just saying the way he's going about this, right? Like I don't want to challenge him as a man, but the way he's going about it is a little bit more from an emotional standpoint that we typically don't see with men. So I want to make sure I clarify that.
You're just talking about a new age of athlete than when you grew up, right? Yeah. Croc, how much film have you seen from teammates in your career? Is that something that you would ever like imagine? Is that something that you knew was like a straight up no? And like, remember, like you see it on Hard Knocks, right? Like the guy gets cut in training camp and like, bring your playbook. You know what I mean? Like this is not information we're trying to share with people around the NFL, and especially a disgruntled player, which would be the type that might share more stuff than they would otherwise and would normally. So is Jayden Daniels seeing 49ers practice tape? Are other players seeing 49ers practice tape too? So it opens up a lot of questions there. How much do you think this kind of goes on? And do you think it's even a big deal at all if players are seeing other teams practice tape?
I don't think this goes on a whole lot. And if it does, it ain't something that gets posted to social media.
Right.
Like, there might be a time where, let's say me and my guys in the off season, right? We're training, we're working out, and they're trying to show me something. And it's like, well, okay, look how I did this on this play, right? And they might show a clip, maybe just trying to show something that they did or whatever. But that's not something that really gets out ever. It doesn't get out. Now, we have seen, you go back to Diamondor Lenoir's rookie year, rookie minicamp, the clip of him, pressing a guy at the line of scrimmage. And, that clip went viral. And we've seen a lot of that, right? I wish I'd have got more of my clips out. Maybe I'd have had more opportunities at the NFL level. But when it's a situation like this where it's clearly there's a guy disgruntled, I think it just raises so many more questions. Because now it's like, it truly is like, what is the point of us seeing this? Like, what message are you trying to send? That's the part you don't see. Like buddies might say, man, look how I did this, and you might see that, right? Like there's the symposiums or whatever, these D-line pass rush camps that you see all these guys go to, and you have a bunch of guys, and there might be a rep that they really like from practice, so they want to show that clip, like okay, look how I did this. This is what we're trying to do, right? Like use it as teach tape. But just watching the guys like offense and what they're doing. And it might have been harmless. And this is the part where Jayden is going to have to learn, right? Like he's going to learn from this. He's going to get scolded. It's going to be a little weird at first. They're going to talk to him about what you can and cannot do and stuff like that. Like you said earlier, he might get slapped with a fine. But maybe Jayden Daniels was just like an innocent in this, where it's just like, hey man, like I like how we did this concept. Like, do you guys do anything like this or whatever? Right. And how you like? Let me sneak a picture in and show everybody, like, just to try to help with his leverage on his end. And Daniel's probably like, hey, bro, what you doing?
Yeah. It could have been like, Aiyuk was like, oh, yeah, we run something similar. And he's like, all right, let me bring it up. And he's like, okay, how do you guys read this out? Well, he's just trying to actually get better and asking questions about a guy who's been in the league a little bit, a veteran player, and so something that's pretty innocent, and I don't think is a big deal just if this is an isolated thing. But again, like what could come about, and guys getting in trouble for it, guys getting fined. Because remember the Diamador Lenore thing from his rookie. And again, this is another like innocent rookie kind of innocent mistake thing. And Diamador Lenore, I think it was 2021 was his rookie year, right? In the OTAs when he posted that clip. Who was the wide receiver that he shut down, by the way? It was an undrafted guy. Austin, like bigger wide receiver too, right? Austin something? Something Austin? Can't remember his last name or his first name was Austin.
He put hands on that guy. I remember that. Boom, boom, boom.
And I can see why he would want to post that clip. But remember what happened, and I don't remember if Diamador Lenore actually got in trouble or got fined or anything like that. But what ended up happening is the league fined the 49ers and fined Kyle Shanahan personally. So the Niners got fined $100,000 and Kyle Shanahan got fined $50,000, not because they posted practice film, but because you're not supposed to put hands on guys in that portion of the offseason. It's not supposed to be contact. So the Niners actually got trouble for having too much contact in practices because of the clip that Diamador Lenore posted. And I think it's one of those things where the league knows it happens and it's like, look, these are the rules, and they don't police it too hard. But when you post it out there, well, now they're like, okay, well, now we've seen it. Now it's out there. Now we have to fine you. So that was like an extra thing that Diamador Lenore was probably not even thinking about at all, that actually got his team in trouble. And I don't remember if he actually got fined or if anything happened with him or if he had to take a little trip through the doghouse, because it took him a while to get a foothold in the 49ers defense, you know, beyond his rookie year. So who knows what happened with that. But again, look, you don't have to be an NFL player to know it's a big no-no to put anything public, to share that practice all 22 film with anybody on other teams, on social media. It's a big no-no, and they know that.
I don't think Brandon Aiyuk is thinking very clearly at the moment.
Yeah. Really sad news in the NFL, Croc, with a death to a rookie football player. Hasn't even had a chance to play in the NFL yet. Minnesota Vikings rookie and former Oregon Duck Kyrie Jackson, defensive back, died in a car accident. And according to the Maryland State Police statement, it was a triple fatal crash, and they're still investigating it. And this happened in Upper Marlboro. And Kyrie Jackson, 24, Anthony Litton, and Isaiah Hazel, all in the same vehicle. I believe Isaiah Hazel was the one driving. Kyrie Jackson of the Minnesota Vikings, the rookie draft pick, was sitting in the front seat, riding shotgun in the car there. And you know, there's high rates of speed. Shortly after 3 a.m. is when this accident happened. There may have been alcohol involved, and I know a lot of people, and I think I saw it in the chat here, are saying, you know, the female that was driving the other vehicle, she did not lose her life. It was just all of the guys in the same car is Kyrie Jackson, and there was alcohol potentially involved. I don't think, from what I've seen, they said it was for sure her, or so you know. And I hope the young men that were driving that car that lost their lives, that they weren't drinking as well. Obviously, it's something we talked about before. Drinking and driving is just really dumb. I know a lot of people said nothing good happens in the middle of the night. You know, nothing good happens after midnight, kind of thing. I've had a lot of great times after midnight, right? You can have a great time. I've got a lot of great memories, but you also got to be smart. And it's just a really unfortunate incident. And I don't want to draw any conclusions about anybody that was, you know, because the investigation's ongoing. But the bottom line is, it's just such a sad incident. And this football player lost his life before he had a chance to have a career.
Yeah, you know, it's really tough. And, you know, seeing that news, it really hit home for me. You know, I had a team of mine. A lot of you guys know, you know, my rookie year in the Arena Football League, that was kind of how I got started. I was one of two starting rookies on our defense. The other starting rookie was my guy, Jerry Brown. And middle of the season, Jerry Brown ended up getting picked up by the Indianapolis Colts. So he went to the Colts, and he you know, eventually, you know, he played in his preseason games and everything. They let him go. Dallas Cowboys picked him up right away. And I remember, he messaged me on Facebook, and he's like, "Hey, Croc, you know, Indianapolis Colts, they're asking me about you. So, you know, whatever you're doing, just make sure, you know, keep doing your thing, ball out, whatever." And that was the last time I spoke to him, because shortly after that, he was involved in a fatal, car crash, and lost his life, and got like stuck in the car caught on fire. His teammate, which was like a defensive lineman that he was driving with, he ended up like getting either suspended by the team or like kicked off, and it was kind of like this big thing during the 2012 season. But it's always tough when things like that happen, because you could be going about your night, not thinking anything too crazy, and when we're young, and I've been in this situation before too. You do kind of stupid things, and you hate for a lesson to have to be learned, not even by them, but by this woman driving. I did see that there were several people in that car, but they escaped with very minimal injuries, if any injuries at all. But it is a very tough situation, and three young men lost their lives, and I see all through social media some of the impact that those guys had. Those other guys, they were football players too. I don't think at the NFL level, but they played at Florida State. One played at like Maryland, and these are guys that were brothers. They were kids to parents, and to know that they'll never get to their family won't be able to speak to them again. It's tough. It's tough. Another situation, I lost some kids that I coached in high school football, and these guys, going too fast. They're with these girls, and they fly off the ramp, and they die. And that happened a couple of years ago, and that was a tough one as well. Not thinking that when you're coaching these kids, at any point, like, this is the last time I'll ever speak to this kid, and just a really tough and sad situation, all the way around for really everyone involved, even the people in the other car. And I just send prayers. As soon as I saw that, I think I was outside mowing the lawn, and I got that report. But I definitely made sure that I sent some prayers to the families of the victims, and hopefully, and I'm not saying that they had this opportunity, but the NFL definitely provides you with a lot of different services, and I hope that people will start to use those services. When I went out, I was a nobody, bottom of the roster, but when I went out with teammates, man, we had this the driver person pick us up, and we went out. They made sure everything was good. They walked through first, make sure it's good. It's like you have like your security, and all this is provided by the NFL. And I hope that people take more advantage of those things, because it's just an extra line of protection. And that's not to say, again, we don't know what was going on there, with these cars and whatnot. But especially these guys at the NFL level, or anyone, man, you use an Uber. My wife and I, we were talking about having a date night, and going to the Bay FC game, the Bay Area women's soccer team. We're preparing to go in a week, and she's like, "Hey, our hotel is going to be a mile. We can Uber to the game. We could have some drinks or whatever, Uber back to the hotel, and not have to drink and drive." So use those resources, man.
Yeah, don't even take the car in the first place. Uber out. You got no choice to Uber back, right? So
Right.
Be smart on there, folks. Not just for football players either. For everybody out there, be safe. Next, let's get into the chat, Croc. What do you guys want to talk about? I know some people, you keep wanting to talk about Brandon Aiyuk. Some people are sick and tired of hearing about Brandon Aiyuk. So we'll get into the chat a little bit here as we are pre-training camp, and of course some upcoming episodes previewing position by position training camp for the San Francisco 49ers. Let's finish up this episode strong in the chat next. This episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. It's the formula for winning championships. Also, it keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always want to find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car into the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Interesting what happens, Croc. And I know fans, they're fans for a reason. Fan is short for fanatic. And you start to see some comments in the chat. And like Matt says, not rooting for BA to take up a chunk of the 49ers cap anymore. Play on the 5th-year option or kick rocks. JJ says BA only had 2 good years, right? And this is kind of the thing. It's like, okay, Brandon Aiyuk might be having fun, but you do start to alienate some fans. And we saw this and we went through this with the Debo Samuel. Once you sign, everyone's cool with it again, buying the number 19 jersey. Now they got to turn around, buy the number 1 jersey. Everyone still loves Debo. We both love watching Debo so much. Love the way he plays, and kind of everything's forgiven once that player signs and he's part of your franchise. But don't forget, the fans stay with the 49ers when you're a player too. They root for the team. They root for the team before you were there. They'll root for the team after you're gone, as much as they like you as a player for your team. And so it's a good lesson, both sides, right? To sort of like, well, okay, I got to get mine while I can, but also it's pretty easy to alienate fans as well. And so, and like Bosa, do you remember what happened with Bosa as training camp was ending, preseason was ending, and he didn't have a deal yet? Like there was like people saying, oh, well, this team might be offering this. Remember all the trade talks we were having about Nick Bosa, right? It's like, oh, maybe he will get traded. The season's going to start and he hasn't even signed yet. And then the deal got done. Everyone's like, okay, yeah, Nick Bosa, 97, same dude. Love this dude. Imagine him not being around, So I would preach some patience for Brandon Aiyuk. I would preach some patience for the fans out there. I know it gets frustrating sometimes. And as Dr. Steve Brule puts it, is there 52 other players on the roster? There is, man, but this is the story. And more people want to talk about the story than are tired of hearing about it. But it would be nice to have some other stories, because I kind of made the joke at the beginning, Crocs, like, oh, Brandon Aiyuk knew we had to record tonight, so we threw something on social media to get everybody stirred up again. And so, yeah, anyway, it is the off season. So look, we're talking about Brandon Aiyuk. It's the big story. And we'll probably have to keep talking about Brandon Aiyuk. And hopefully the next time we talk about Brandon Aiyuk is because he signed a contract.
Well, in a few weeks, we got training camp starting and guys reporting. So we'll have more to talk about to then. And if anything, if it continues to go how it has gone in the past, Brandon Aiyuk will not be signed, in the next, 2-3 weeks. So there will be a lot of discussions. And if he continues these different antics, right, posting clips of Washington Commanders practice, going on talk shows or podcasts and, expressing his perspective on the situation and how he feels personally, those things will be getting discussed on Locked On 49ers. We will try to bring you other news, of course, but why would you not, just kind of, give our thoughts on it without having to try to get like too deep with it. But, it's interesting just to kind of see where he is mentally. And Peacock and I bounce different things off of each other, trying to figure out like what exactly is Aiyuk's end game with this. Is he showing that he's frustrated because he wants to get signed, or is he showing that he's frustrating and wants out, right? Like, and just trying to decipher between just a disgruntled player or a frustrated player and all of that. So I think it's just kind of fun conversation, but definitely understandable how it could be a little tiring at times as well.
How about this angle? Todd says, I think Aiyuk's doing all the social media things because he's loving the attention. When the national media talks about the 49ers offense, it's always McCaffrey, Debo, Kittle, Shanahan mentioned first. And I think of a guy like Antonio Brown. Like, as great of a player as Antonio Brown is, we talked a lot more about him because he's a weirdo than because he was such a great player. So maybe this is genius PR tactics by Brandon Aiyuk, just getting his name out there. He's a more famous person now than he was to start the offseason, Croc.
That is true. As a matter of fact, he was a guy that we felt like, it's like, does he even talk? Right? Like, does Brandon Aiyuk talk? Like, we didn't know he even talked until he started posting his jersey and not being happy with some of the targets in the Super Bowl and all that. And then now it's like, oh, he does talk. He's like that 5-year-old kid. I don't know if you guys have ever been around like a 5-year-old kid that maybe looks a little bit younger and you don't think the kid talks. Like, looks like he's like 2 years old, but the kid walking around, then all of a sudden the kid starts talking to you and you're like, dang, you speak very well too. Like, dang, I didn't even know you knew how to talk. Like, that's Brandon Aiyuk right now, where it's like, does this dude talk? It's like he just looks at you and blinks, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, he has a very big personality, as we're starting to find out.
Talanoa Hufanga, not a name we've brought up a lot. Coming off an injury. What about comeback player of the year in 2024 for Talanoa Hufanga?
I think the 49ers, and I don't know about comeback player of the year, but he's definitely a guy who the 49ers got to lean on to really be a big part of this defense. You know, the 49ers just got ranked the number 2 secondary on PFF. And if you look at the corners, I think you're very confident with what they have in that group. Is it like these big time, big money guys? No, but they are guys that play well and play at a high level. But also, they're not just stopping at the cornerbacks with, you know, Travarius Ward and Damondo Lenore and Isaac Yiadom or the rookie Green. I mean, they are including the safeties in that. And I think PFF is expecting a big year out of Talanoa Hufanga. If he does have that big year, I'm not sure about comeback player of the year, but definitely a guy who, if he is what he was a couple years ago when he was all pro, that will be huge for the San Francisco 49ers.
If he's comeback player of the year, he might not come back at all next year in 2025, because I don't know if the 49ers are going to be able to spend top of the market safety money, top of the market corner money, and Damondo Lenore, who we mentioned earlier, Charvarius Ward. So there's other contracts out there besides Brock Purdy next offseason too, and that's if the Brandon Aiyuk thing gets figured out this year. So can they pay a guard, right? Aaron Banks is going to be a free agent as well. Could be a very interesting offseason in 2025. If you're mad at this, hopefully we have a lot. We have a higher number of subjects next offseason, right? But it's probably not a great sign. I don't know. I guess it is an okay sign if you're talking about signing a guy at this point in the offseason, because that means it's a big time piece that you're trying to get into camp, right? If you're not talking about a guy who's a free agent, then that means he's probably gone. So Hufanga might be gone. Who knows? What positions can the 49ers pay next year? That'd be a good episode, Croc. I don't think I have time to do it right now, but we should probably rank upcoming free agents, guys going into their walk year of their contracts, rank who the 49ers can least afford to lose in 2025 free agency.
Real quick, I will touch on Aaron Banks. And that is a very interesting one. You know, is he a guy that the 49ers continue to bring back, you know, and at what number? You know, offensive linemen, especially interior linemen, they're starting to get paid a little bit more now. And for a guy who is playing, you know, he's playing well for the 49ers. I don't think he's playing as well as Laken Tomlinson. Like, I think Laken Tomlinson was valued a little bit more. But at this stage and kind of the way things are trending, there's a scenario where if he hits the open market, another team is like, well, yeah, he wasn't great, but he played well for the 49ers. Hey, we'll throw you millions of dollars per year to come over here. And we saw that with McGlinchey, where McGlinchey, it wasn't like he was great for the 49ers, but he was a serviceable starter. So he goes to Denver and they pay him like 60-something million guaranteed or whatever it is, which we're like, damn, like they paid McGlinchey that much, but that's the going market for a guy that just started for a team. And Aaron Banks clearly has started for the 49ers.
By the way, everybody, make sure you subscribe on YouTube. And Joe in the chat says, just caught the end of the live show. What's up, Croc and Peacock? What's happening, Joe? Appreciate you stopping in. All you got to do, though, is hit that notification bell. The next time you can catch the beginning of the live show and not just the end of the live show, too. So we appreciate everybody that jumped into the live with us on Sunday evening. It's going to be in your audio podcast feeds first thing Monday morning. We appreciate all of our everydayers out there. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube and everywhere you listen to your podcasts. Croc and I back tomorrow right here, Locked On 49ers.